My girlfriend was raped and I am not sure if I should be upset with her. I've been dating this woman for a year and a half, and throughout this time she's always surrounded herself with creepy dude friends. She'll complain to me about how weird they are or how they make her uncomfortable, and I ask why she doesn't just stop talking to them, and she'll immediately turn it around and start defending them by saying, well, he's still a friend, I am not just gonna cut him off BC of X and X. It's always seemed like she's liked this male attention, I don't know? Or maybe she gets attached easily, I am honestly not sure. She recently made a new friend, who from the beginning would send her nudes constantly and talk about how much he wants to fuck her. He'd repeatedly try to invite her to his house to smoke, and he'd say all the things he'd do to her. Per usual, she came to me and complains, and I demanded her to cut him off as I am not comfortable with this guy talking the way he does. She defends him for some reason despite knowing him less than a month and having no emotional attachment to this man. She gives in eventually and says she'll stop talking to him and that I am right. Now, she's been being distant with me for the past couple weeks. I prodded at her until she opened up and she told me she was raped. I was horrified and tried to be sympathetic towards her as best it could. Then she told me it was by the same guy she just met. At some point after cutting him off, she went behind my back to chill with him in his home and smoke. He came onto her again and she rejected him, and he got mad at her for wasting his time, and did what he did. She couldn't have known she would have gotten raped, and I am not putting that blame on her. But am I allowed to be mad that she went behind my back for a guy she knew for less than a month? I didn't get mad at her or stop trying to comfort her. I haven't even expressed how I feel about this to her, but am I a piece of shit for even thinking about that detail? Okay, so, good on you for separating your trust issue from the assault. That's way better than I expected when I saw the title. Here's the thing. You have reason to not trust her judgment, WRT, who she hangs around with, and that has nothing to do with what happened to her. You should get out of this relationship. Then let yourself feel whatever you are going to feel, because, and this is important, our feelings don't give a shit if they're correct, or not. Yes, it's horrible what happened. But this behavior your girlfriend has is connected to a bigger issue, possibly from her past, etc. She needs help even before the sexual assault. I was in relationship once with a girl like this, just basically ignored sexual advances, and it blew up in my face by trying to be understanding and supportive. So imagine it another way. How would she have reacted if you had a girl send you nudes, tell you she wants to fuck you, and then after her girlfriend tells you stay away, you go and hang out with this girl? My advice? Leave this relationship. I know it's a classic Reddit advice to just leave, but trust me, you'll save a lot of heartache if you just leave. Assuming she didn't just cheat on you, she clearly has some major issues. Maybe self-esteem related. She seeks validation from men, and even if she doesn't like them, she'll still entertain them and their perverted behavior. I had a friend like that once. She'd always complain about her guy friends hitting on her, but she'd never simply block them, unfriend them, set boundaries, etc. And it started to seem like she actually enjoyed their interest. You have a right to be upset. She disrespected you and the relationship you've built together by going behind your back to hang out alone with a guy that was purely sexual towards her from the very beginning. She genuinely should have known that was a bad idea, but I'm not saying she asked to get raped. Again, assuming she isn't lying about the rape to cover up for cheating on you, she probably just wanted to hang out with him to feel wanted, attractive, interesting, etc. Who knows? It was a horrible idea, but that's not an excuse to rape someone, and she still wasn't asking to get raped. Still, I wouldn't want to be with someone that cares so little about your feelings. Her actions have been incredibly disrespectful. I'm starting to dislike men. I'm 25. I normally don't brag about my appearance, it's an annoying thing to do, but I've been put on a pedestal since I was young because of my appearance. When I was a child, I was the guy's crush at school and all the adults would compliment me. When I was in high school, I was popular because of my appearance. I receive a lot of stares in public places as well. I'm not picky, I don't think I deserve the best of the best. I actually have a pretty high sex drive and I've had a decent amount of partners. What I'm tired of is how literally all men pretend to give a damn about me only to start treating me like an object once they get what they want. This is just the most recent example, but this is something that has already happened dozens of times. I made friends with this guy in January. He seemed to be a good guy. He would even say, "Thanks for your friendship, I was going through a hard time in my life. Your presence makes me feel better." After a while I was like, I wouldn't mind having sex with him, and that's how it started. After he had sex with me for the first time, he stopped being a friend and he would literally only call me when he was horny and then started calling me a cum dump. I ain't even joking. I'm not begging for attention like, oh guys being pretty is hard. I'm happy guys wanna fuck me. What I'm not happy with is that they never seem to care about me as a person, and since a lot of women complain about just being used, I think it's fair to say a lot of men are like this. Yeah, there's someone decent out there for sure, but it'd still be nice if decent men weren't so rare. My solution was, ultimately, to look for guys who I thought would make good long-term partners. If you have a short-term attitude, then you are more likely to get guys who are interested in that. I started looking for someone who would encourage me in my personal goals, who would have my back in sketchy countries, who would go hiking with me, and who could GM a tabletop role-playing game. I found him. Problem solved. It is like having standards, and not some BS like, he is 6 feet 4 inches with blonde hair, blue eyes, and $1 billion produced better results. Alright, here's the advice I wish I got in my younger days. It's very flattering to be hit on by many guys, especially when they're also attractive. When this happens, it's easy to feel sexual and like you want someone to actually see and touch what it is you got. But unfortunately, hot girls are an accomplishment for a lot of men. A girlfriend of mine gifted me a sex toy, and my God, has it changed my life. I hold all the power. I find when I'm really wanting to give myself to someone, I'll just go to my toy instead, and it's the post-nut clarity that helps you realize. It's not them, it's you that's hot, it's you that they want, and it gives you that time to hold out and see who's worth sleeping with. Obviously a toy can't replace the real thing, but it helps to not get wrapped up in one guy you think is safe. Rather, you become your own safe space while you take your time figuring out who's actually worthy of getting into bed with. I'm sorry, that sounds difficult. I would suggest asking yourself if you could benefit by looking for a relationship. A friend you like f***ing can be a partner. It sounds like you made clear you weren't going there, and while that doesn't excuse his behavior, frankly, casual sex is hard for a lot of people. If you find someone who wants a romantic relationship and committed partner, your odds of not finding these types of nonsense might be reduced. I am leaving my wife tomorrow and I couldn't be happier. I 45 male and my wife 44 female have been married for 10 years. We dated for 6 years before that, and I got a lot of pressure to get married from my parents, her. Something in my gut said that this wasn't right. I called it cold feet and did my best to ignore it. We got married. Pretty much the moment the ink was dry on our marriage license, things went south. On our honeymoon, she did nothing but complain I hadn't booked a nicer hotel. In the following months she wanted a new apartment, a new car, gifts, jewelry, handbags. It was never enough. It's like the moment she got the ring, it stopped being about me and became about what I could give her. I am a doctor. I make good money. Not good enough to support the kind of lifestyle she wants though. We don't have sex anymore. We don't laugh. We don't talk about anything but money. We have no kids. She said she wanted them before marriage, then changed her mind. Our home looks like a showroom. There is no warmth or joy or even comfort here. I hate it. I hate her. I am a 45-year-old physician and I have barely enough savings to sustain us for 3 months. I want to retire someday. I want to enjoy my life. I rented a cool apartment across town, in a less desirable neighborhood, and there's a stack of IKEA furniture waiting for me to set it up there. The lease is up on the Mercedes my wife pushed me to lease next month, and I will be replacing it with a used Prius. I'm starting therapy next week. I have a divorce attorney who has assured me that the prenup we signed before marriage means I won't have to pay alimony. I hope to leave the higher-paying job that my wife insisted I take for something with less hours, sometime in the next year. I am going to ask out the pretty barista who flirts with me every morning. I'm telling her first thing tomorrow. I'm expecting her to cry and beg and demand we try therapy. I don't want any of that. This was never right, and I'm only sorry it took me so long to realize it. I'm sorry I've wasted so much of my life being married to a woman because I thought it was the right thing. I am so excited. The best thing you did was the prenup. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Unfortunately, if you didn't have separate lawyers, the prenup isn't worth the paper it's written on, and even then it can be ignored if the judge so feels like it. Divorce court is not friendly to men. That being said, this is still absolutely the right move to make. Op deserves to be happy, and leaving his wife is absolutely the right move. Don't ask out or date anyone until everything has settled down and cooled off after the divorce. No one in the world will not suspect you just started having a wandering eye if you do. Do yourself a favor and preserve your freedom after the divorce. If you taint it with another person, you're always going to simply be a cheater who wanted a divorce to sleep around, and will never hear the end of it from the ex, family, or friends. Good luck, Doc. Only piece of advice is be sure the barista is really flirting and not just being nice to the customer. Seen a lot of women post on here about being nice to their customers and they start thinking there's something when it's just them being nice. But I'm definitely looking for an update after the breakup and on the barista.